I think what we need to do is go in there and stop it.
Thank you, Manifest.
You might notice a slight difference among one of the players, and it's true. Andrus's beard is massive now. I have no fucking idea what has happened on that man's chin in the last 2 weeks since our last game, but that thing is almost the size of me. Bree, on the other hand, looks completely normal. No change.
No, you're wrong. There's been a very important wardrobe change. I'm pretty sure Bree has new headphones.
That's true. I think the headphones are different, but otherwise, you know, same old Bree. No change.
I mean, I've got to shave my horns this week, but I don't think anyone will notice.
I just have to show chat my new dice.
So yeah, Bree has made these horns herself, and it's amazing, absolutely stunning.
Amazing,
I mean, you can absolutely have some inspiration for that. That's fantastic. So basically, a nuke went off. Silver Street got nuked and covered in an anti-magic zone, something called the Null Zone, which is full of essentially negative energy. It's the opposite of life. It's the opposite of warmth. It is the opposite of magic. And the party went in to investigate, and they found an area extremely hostile to life there. They did actually extremely well. They did extremely well against threats that would kill many other parties of the same level, and they came out with very good information. And they've met with the High Warden Amber Locke, who is essentially the chief of police, who is organizing the the emergency response at the moment on the ground. And they have decided that whatever this is, they are going to need a powerful wizard to help them through it. And they have found a powerful wizard, or so they seem, Merifrith Winifred. I did that without looking up his name this time. Who runs a shop that doesn't usually exist on this plane of matter, or in fact in this frame of reference when it comes to time. But he's stuck here at the moment because his shop has entered the anti-magic zone, and the magic that powers his shop has suddenly disappeared. Having done a favor for him, he's planning on making some unique items for them, designed personally to their personalities and to the answers to some very important questions. But he's also going to turn up to a meeting of some of the brightest is the wrong word, some of the most privileged people in Korakiian, in order to try and put a stop to what is essentially fallout in the middle of Silver Street. So, mechanics-wise, you've all had a long rest. You're all back to normal, with the exception that you all do still have 1 point of exhaustion. Whatever happens, you don't seem to be able to shift that at the moment. It is 2 days since the Bazaar, which is roughly, I believe it was 2 days, when you said you would meet.
1 day.
1 day. 1 day. 1 day. It's 1 day since. No, you've not overslept. And it is time for a meeting of the certainly most elected minds of Korakiian, which is probably the best we can say. And some of them will even be there. And the meeting...
I really hope some of them were revived in time.
Sadly, no. So the the low marshals, the original low marshals there. No, the meeting's taking place at the Providium, which you've been to before, Eao. That is where you briefly got some information from. Actually, you've all been there because that's where you killed the low marshal. But it's also, it's where you got some information from dear T-Bolt, whose name, honestly, I hadn't forgotten for a second there. From dear T-Bolt, who's working there.
As I'm walking in, is T-Bolt actually there?
Not this time, no. Not this time. He's probably busy, still trying to find good old Puce. So, you're all obviously, you're welcomed by a gaggle of diplomats who rush up to you and go, yes, Dunwich, yes. Oh, Oh, it's so good to see you, Low Marshal. Low Marshal, why haven't you been here in a few days? You know you have duties, right?
I will have you know that I have done my weekly duties. I'm telling this to the GM, not the people.
I know that. It's whether they know that.
I have duties not only here but elsewhere, and I have been doing those duties on both fronts.
Duties. Sorry. Sorry, I've had wine. They nod and go, okay, well, of course, you're busy, and of course with the calamity. Right this way, and they guide you up the long stairs, the entrance towards the Great Hall. Now, this is where usually not much actually happens. This is a very ceremonial room. It's rarely used for any discussions or anything like that. Usually those are done in back rooms. This is for when you need to look good in front of the public, right? And the public are there because they're essentially, a lot of people have been displaced from Silver Street. You know, a lot of people have lost their jobs on Silver Street. Silver Street had a lot of shops. It had a lot of smiths. It had a lot of bakers and all sorts of things. And all of those are gone now. People can't go to work, but there's no like social security here. There's no unemployment benefits or anything like that. These people have suddenly got no money, and they need answers. So this is open to the public, and there is a chair waiting for you. The rest of you, unfortunately, are going to have to stand, although you are allowed to stand behind Eao. Various other people, other members here have their entourages. With you at the table are the High Marshal, Serena Talonspire, who is an imperious-looking dragonborn. She's sort of haughtily, in a way, looking down on people, but it's hard to do that when you have a snout. Well, not snout. What jaws? Like it's a good foot coming out. It's hard. It's like looking down at a crocodile.
I think snout's the right word there.
Yeah. So it's hard to do, but she's trying. You also have the High Solicitor. He sat on a little high chair because they couldn't get enough cushions to make him up. He's a gnome, so he's an old man, very rosy cheeks, rosy nose, looks like a bit like a strawberry, and he's sat there. He's got glasses on. He's obviously the High Solicitor. That's Elden Dimble Cheeks, and you also have with you, of course, the High Warden Amber Locke, the Fire Genasi, who you've previously spoken to, and one other person you recognise, the High Inquisitive, the Goliath, Isildur Tharn, who gave you this job.
I don't suppose Menefrith has appeared yet.
Not yet, no. Not yet.
I swear if he doesn't come...
He did say he'd come after lunch, all 6 hours of it.
I will burn his shop down, I swear.
So...
stealing the price popped his cheese.
Stealing his cheese, oh no. Maybe his lunch will end a little quicker then. So, Talonspire smiles at you and says, Low Marshal, excellent. We still haven't had any word from the Mercers. From the Pursers, sorry. They're, well, we know why now. Not official business, but it appears both of them were on Silver Street when it went up. So we are without a budget, or as I like to think of it, we have an unlimited budget. Yes, well, obviously, it's a good thing there's an election coming up. Let's say that. If this had happened 5 years ago, it'd been chaos. But we've got candidates. We'll find a new purser. But in the meantime, we really do have the city's budget behind us, or rather, not stopping us. And the High Marshal looks over to you and says, "About bloody time, isn't it?"
I was working on things, okay?
And she sniffs, and a little curl of flame comes out of her. I'm going to again say snout. And she says, "Well, clearly not an army girl like I, otherwise you'd know that punctuality is half the war. Turn up before your enemies so they have no time to prepare. Do you understand me, Low Marshal?"
You should also know that logistics are just as important. And I've been gathering resources, assuming that resource turns up.
She snarls. She says, "Well, we'll see about that, won't we?"
Yeah, we will.
Have you been to my library yet?
Well, we were about to, go there, but, something happened.
Very well. Very well.
Although, given our circumstances, depending on how today goes, we may need to secure that area soon, so...
Well, if you're incapable, there's no harm in coming and telling me. I'll send my men, my trained, capable men, to deal with it when you can't.
I wouldn't call the Korakiian army capable.
She turns to you now, and there are little sparks coming out of her nostrils. Say that again.
So, hi, Warden. It's a pleasure to see you. How were things on your end?
There's a cough at the table, like, I might remind you too that this is a public gallery affair. And the High Warden looks at you and goes, well, things aren't good still. The sphere hasn't gone anywhere. We've not sent anyone else in, and we've been reasonably successful in keeping people out. There have been a couple of people who've made it through the gap. They've not come back.
That is unfortunate.
The High Solicitor says, well, yes, but they were breaking the law. You must remember that. And sort of leans against his chair. He doesn't like being in a high chair. He's got custom-made chairs in his office, and he's a little annoyed that they couldn't just bring one of those down for him. But he sort of, well, once you're breaking the law, there's not really much we can do for them. Surely they've chosen that. Just as I can't stop someone jumping off one of the towers.
So what you're saying is, if I wanted to jump off one of the towers, you couldn't stop me?
I was waiting. I thought that was next. He looks at you. He sort of twists around, and he looks at you and goes, I couldn't anyway. But why would we want to? If you want to kill yourself, so be it. Save us all the burden and the cost. Do us all a favor and jump into a grave at least, so we don't have to dig one, right? The High Inquisitive has not said a word in all this time, and he's hunched over, emaciated as he is. He's sort of hunched over a little bit, looking a little bit like a really old man at the moment, and he's just got his fingers steepled as he's just watching all of you, and he says absolutely nothing. And the one says, you mentioned a mage that you might be able to bring.
Yes. Assuming he shows up, I have given him the time and location, although this one is a bit eccentric.
Just rolling how long it'll take for him to turn up. And the High One says, show me a wizard who isn't, honestly. Show me a wizard who isn't. You can't depend on them. Nerds. They've never been down in the city, not like you or I.
Unfortunately for us, I think we will have to depend on them.
Well, let's start off, then, without him. Lord Marshal, could you tell the rest of us, obviously you've told me, but can you tell the rest of us what we're dealing with in this zone?
Okay, so, it's a very large zone of anti-magic, is the best way I could put it. Nearly a mile wide, if I'm correct.
That'd be about right, yeah.
The entire area seems to be very hostile to anyone who enters it. Merely entering the area drains you of energy, and many of the creatures within do very similar things. We saw wraiths that can be in multiple places at once. We saw leeches that could cause people to act very angrily and impulsively.
There was a loud clap, like a thunderclap, and a puff of smoke, and Eldon Dimblecheeks yelps. And when the smoke clears, Merifrith Winifred, whose name I've still remembered, is sat currently on the High Purser, on the high chair. He shifts and goes, oh, this is not a very comfortable chair. What's going on? I'm so sorry. And he hops off.
I would like to present my wizard, Manifrith.
Yes, Manifrith Winifred, so nice to meet you, and you're all so wonderfully human. Excellent. You've all done very well to do that. Well, except you. You're not. Oh. Are there any humans here? He's like, nope, okay. In the audience, I see. One rule for them, one rule for you. Very well. This kind of city. Sorry, I am a little late. I got distracted. There was a wonderful ball in a place in Perister. It was wonderful. It was just such a lovely time. I was dancing with this beautiful Leonin, absolutely gorgeous
Manifest,
gentleman.
please. Please.
And sorry, I got carried away, didn't I again? Right. The null zone. Yes, as I've taken to calling it. I've had a bit of a look around, not in there, not going in, but at the border, at the surface. So it seems like the surface is relatively stable. We don't have to worry about it expanding into the rest of the city and killing everyone on this continent, which is, I've got to admit, something that's been plaguing me for the last day or so. But don't worry, I took a measure with it, although my tape measure doesn't go that far. But it looks like it's stable. It's not expanding or contracting, no energy going in or out, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, nothing's coming out, actually, because I heard there's some rather distasteful creatures in there. Wouldn't mind having a few myself, though, for study purposes, and lunch. But I think what we need to do is go in there and stop it.
Thank you, Manifest.
May I quickly ask, do I remember the stance that you mentioned?
Yes.
Nice. I didn't recognize him at first. Probably just the mask that he was wearing as well.
Yeah, it was a masquerade ball.
And thank you, Manifest. Now, as I was saying, we also saw creatures such as, the best way to describe them are orbs that drained life and aged whatever it touched.
Oh, I know, just the things. The Zegi or Zegya. What color?
I think it was yellow.
Yellow? Probably, yeah. That'll be the Zegi then. The Zegya are blue. You definitely see the difference. Well, they're not too bad of a problem as long as you never go anywhere near one.
Unfortunately, there seems to be at least one, if not multiple, near the core.
That'll be a problem.
Which is, yeah. We do have some saving graces, though, however. There are pockets within the orb itself that seem to be smaller pockets of the material plane, smaller areas where magic can still be used.
Are they stable?
I'm not sure. I feel like it seemed like they were being very slowly eaten away. But they are there, which is the positive part.
Very well. Then what we have to do is simply replenish them constantly. And then there's an area where you can cast spells and do all sorts of magic.
Would it be possible to move one of these areas within the anti-magic zone?
It's worth a try. I think you could do something. The problem is, you've got to when you push, you've got to push against something. There doesn't appear to be anything in there, but perhaps we can do something about it. Yes, I know. A jet of air. Push it out. If it's dissolving, then it's got to produce energy, right? And that's going to push you away. So it's a little bit like the opposite of a sail, pushing you along. And yes, that'll work. But you'll have to keep replenishing the real world matter, and that's going to be difficult. Now you see, there are some spells that will do this, and I know some spells, but I can't cast them, and I'm certain you couldn't. We're talking things like creation. To some extent, you could try create or destroy water. That would certainly work. Can you breathe and cast spells underwater?
Can I personally? No, but I can't cast magic.
Any of you wizards? No, none of you are wizards. But any of you, sorcerers or what have you? None of you?
I cast some spells, but not to the extent of sorcery or wizardry.
Oh, this is going to be difficult, isn't it? Well, then, the other solution, magic items. We'll find something that lets you all make either infinite amounts of water or preferably infinite amounts of air. That'd be even better. Just gonna have to find one.
And where would one procure such an item?
Well, there's always the shops, but I haven't got one, if that's what you're asking, and I doubt Fezzik's got one. On the other hand, when you're in my line of business, you do get ears on the ground, and you've got people who listen, who might know a thing or two. Could be that I can find where one's hidden. It will take a little research, but I don't mind doing that if it gets my shop free from this awful city. And there's a bit of a grumble from the crowd. He's like, oh, shut up, you know it. And he says, well, you give me 3 weeks, I can probably find it. But you'll have to go and get it. Well, with the shop as it is, I can't go anywhere.
Is 3 weeks the earliest you can get this done? I don't know if you noticed, but we have an entire district full of people who have been displaced because of this, if not outright missing.
That's not my fault. I'll be as fast as I can. It's not because of my shop that they're displaced. Now, what you lot do about that problem, I'll leave to you fine politicians. And there's a laugh from the galleys. And he says, I'm doing my best. I will let you know. If you find any more information, though, you let me know. And that might speed me up. That might give me a clue. It might give me a lead. But for now, you're asking me to give you a better time frame than 3 weeks. I'm literally about to walk to my shop, which can no longer teleport anywhere, and try and get hold of my contacts, most of which don't even exist at the moment, and try and get you an item I don't even know exists.
Yes, I apologize.
Good.
It's just stressful.
And he says, well, I've done all I can. Have a good chat. I'm going. There's a wonderful bottle of wine and a Scotch egg waiting for me. And there's another clap and a billow of black smoke that again engulfs poor Eldon Dimplecheeks, who starts coughing away in his chair. And Merifrith is gone. And the High Warden is just looking at you like, how did you two meet?
Well, when we exited the anti-magic area, we kind of stumbled on his shop. It apparently jumps around not only through place but through time, and it's kind of stuck here right now.
Isildur.
I just realized I've met him before.
Yes, you had. And Isildur goes, I've not heard of this man. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. When this is done, you'll tell me everything you know about him. Understood?
Very well. I'll let you know, though, it's not very much.
Well,
although
start.
After I
can tell you that.
After I do some further duties, we do have apparently a 3-week period where I can probably show you more than I can tell you.
Good. Yes, we'll do that. Come and get me. You know where I am.
Until then, if we are going to do anything about this, it seems most, if not everything in there is weak towards silvered weapons. Is there any way we could procure a few of those for any sort of excursions in there?
The
Solicitor
squeaks up and goes, well, the problem is that most of the silver was in Silver Street.
Was on Silver Street.
So there's not much raw silver available at the moment. Now we're doing our best, actually. Since we discovered the purses were gone, I've done my best to put a few things in motion with a few friends of mine. And he leans forward and he whispers across the table because he doesn't want the galley hearing. In Korakiian. To get a bit of trade going and get a bit of silver over here. But without a huge amount of silver, we can't really outfit an army or anything like that, or let alone a squad. But other people have silver, you know? And he looks over at the High Marshal. He's like, you know, people born with a spoon in their mouth, perhaps.
Speaking of silver, back when my predecessor did the terrible things he did have us bring in a very large cart of silver. I don't suppose anyone here knows what happened there. That could be invaluable right now.
Isildur Tharn looks directly at you. Says nothing, but looks directly at you. Which
one?
That would be the High Inquisitive. Just straight at you. Everyone else goes, well, I don't know. I presume the purser dealt with it. But with them gone, I don't know.
A bit of a shame. That could have been helpful.
Probably not. They would have stonewalled you all the way. The High Marshal huffs a little bit and says, look, we're not getting anywhere. We're not... By sitting here and talking shop like this, we've not actually gotten anywhere. So some gubbins about looking for a wand that might not even exist. Well, what happens when he doesn't turn up ever again, or he turns up later, or turns up the wrong bloody year, or something like that? We need to get men in there to sort this out right now. Thank God the army's here to save your life.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, what happens when one of those fear leeches, let's call them, attaches itself to one of your men, and you have suddenly an entire battalion of men infighting and trying to kill each other?
My men know no fear. It'll be a scant lunch.
Oh, this isn't fear. This is anger. I'm sure you know plenty about that.
I know a lot of it right now, Lone Marshal. And she sort of spits the word low.
What I'm saying is sending in large squads like that, it's a mistake. At best, if you want to send in soldiers, send in smaller groups at a time. Smaller groups, better equipped and with better knowledge of the thing. Send them to scout the outer regions, looking for survivors, perhaps, or to get the locations of some of the more stable areas within the thing. But don't send in a large group.
She slams a fist on the table and says, "Damn it, we need more action than that. I can't be..." And she stops herself for a second and says, "We can't be seen to be taking no action on this. We cannot be weak to this.
And we can't just go in folly without a plan. It's a good way to get ourselves killed."
She chuckles and very, very quietly hisses out the corner of her teeth at you. "You really are unelectable, aren't you?"
We shall see. We shall see.
She says, "I'll see you at the polls." Stands up, knocks her chair back, says, "Fine, I'll deal with this myself," and storms out. There's a murmur from the crowd, and it sounds kind of approving that someone is finally going to do something about it. A lot of the people who think Koraki's army can deal with literally anything are a little happy about that, comparatively.
There goes the army.
So, I heard people like being Korakiian.
Quiet you.
I'm Warkian.
Speaking of our army specifically, she does make one point. We are currently in a weakened position, which is why my current group right now should probably be our current plan is probably to head into the library and secure a front there, prevent anyone from attacking us from that front.
The warden nods appreciatively and says, "That place is like Percerian cheese, in that it's full of holes." Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be able to set something up for us diplomatically, but I've met one of the denizens there before. They tend to not like to talk.
Amberlock, she breathes a small sigh of relief because it's an item on her to-do list, and she goes, That's good to hear. That's good to hear, because I've been getting a lot of reports of something going on down there. None of the librarians have actually been down there in a week. They are complaining about some gibberish that they're always talking about. So if you could go and deal with that, that'll let me stay on the streets and not divert my men off of the perimeter. Yeah,
that seems like a decent plan of action for now.
The High Solicitor nods and says, "Understood. I call this meeting adjourned." In the faint hopes that no one else will realise he does not chair meetings. He just wants to seem like a little bit authoritative right now, as there is an election coming up, and a wizard has just sat on it.
I'm just going to point at people and are you doing anything to help them?
The High Solicitor will blush a little bit of redness around his already red cheeks. Extremely red. "Oh, well, yes, of course, something must be done. I don't know whether I can do anything in my position as a lawyer to assist, really. The best I could do is either create a new regulation or remove one, and I don't think they need that right now. What say you, Warden? What are you doing for the public?" And Amber says, "Well, we'll keep them safe, as usual. Spread thin, but we're doing our best."
We currently have a theoretical unlimited budget, yes?
Well, theoretically, yes.
Then I suppose for now what we should do is work with some of the other council members who aren't here and set up a temporary living area while Silver Street's like this. Temporary living area, some food and shelter for the people. Last thing we need is a large amount of homeless people filling the streets.
There's a chorus of assent from the people waiting in the wings, and about 10 seconds afterwards, when it becomes much more unanimous, both the Solicitor and the Warden start going, "Oh yes, we should definitely do that." And the Solicitor says, I'll write up a law that will make this all possible, and then that'll be fine. That'll be no problem at all. That's my job. I'm taking a stand. Let it be known. I am going to end homelessness for the duration of this problem. And he He hops off of his chair and waddles out the door. Everyone's just sort of waiting, and there's that awkward pause as it just takes just slightly too long for him to leave. But then everyone's looking at you two. Then there were two, the warden and the low marshal. And the warden looks at you and says, well, I'm doing everything I can. What are you going to do? Oh, yeah, sorry, the Inquisitive is there, but just staring at everyone at the moment.
I mean, my plan is currently set. We go secure the library, one of the areas we could be attacked from. At the very least, that should give some people some feeling of safety and security.
Amber says, "Look, I'm spread thin. I can't set up a poorhouse as well as keep everyone out of the city, in the city out of Silver Street. I'm gonna need help with this."
Oh, I do understand. But we have plenty of council members who either couldn't show or just were too lazy to.
There's a grumble from the crowd there, and they're not happy there. You've probably lowered the election chances of the High Priest and the Breaker, although everyone else on the High Council is there. The Low Council aren't there, but they weren't invited. You're the only member of the Low Council invited. Yeah. So at the very least, perhaps get in contact with the High Priest. They're normally the ones who work with situations like that. A cleric of the God of Death would be an interesting one, optics-wise, but... Yeah, but their church does take in homeless people. Yes. Okay. We'll give them to Morian. It's the best we can do. All right. Is there anything else? I would have that, but okay. The Inquisitive looks between the two of you and says, I think you've got this all sorted out. I don't think you want me getting involved unless I have to. I suppose that's right. For now, we have at least some sort of a plan of action. I do worry about what the High Marshal's going to end up doing, but there's nothing we could do about that for now. The High Inquisitive just sort of steeples his fingers again and just says, leave her to me. Very well.
Only she was more sober.
Don't let this one's corpse fall.
I hate you both.
We're not killing... Oh, well, I mean, we could. But not killing the High Marshal yet. Anyway, meeting adjourned, and the Inquisitor sort of raps a knuckle against the table. There's no, mallet or anything like that. It's not like a trial or anything. He just raps his knuckles against the table and says, very well. Save these people, you two. On the way out, I'm going to somewhat follow the Inquisitive and catch up to him somewhere so I can speak to him about something. Okay. Roll me a perception check, because the one thing the Inquisitive is very good at doing, despite being very large, is blending into crowds the moment he wants to get out of somewhere.
17.
17. I think that'll be enough, because he's not actively hiding. He's just very good at blending. The moment he gets into a crowd. But you spot him a little bit further down. He's on his way out of the Pravidium itself. So he's not gone to his office. He's on the way out. I'm going to catch up to him real quick and begin speaking to him as we're walking through. Dunwich. So, Inquisitive, you seem to be very adamant about me not bringing up that silver. It is needed elsewhere. I suppose that's fair enough. It's just, we could, use it for our weapons. This is a bit of a crisis. We could. You can use magic, though. Well, not you, but some of your people. The artist, the timeless. Even the devil girl's got a bit of it, I think. I suppose you're right. It was very curious. Why did no one else know about what happened with the silver? I took care of it, Dunwich. I suppose that's the most I'm getting out of you. If I was blasé with information, would I have this job? Rest assured, I'm on top of it, and I think you can trust in me. I'm the last person to suggest trusting people, but you can trust in me for now. Oh, Inquisitive. From the moment I broke into your office, I didn't trust you at all. Oh, that's a shame. I thought we were having such a wonderful professional partnership. Oh, we are. There's no trust in those. He raises a hand. Roll me a perception check. Perception. That is not as good. 12? Cool. You don't notice anything. Until we meet again, Dunwich, don't chase the silver. I suppose. Dunwich, I want to be clear with you. He turns around. I know what you're like. I've got a file on you longer than my own arm. And it's a big arm, in fairness. And he says, I know you don't take orders well. That is why I put you in a position where you would have to. I know for a fact that you will be now chasing the silver, but what I am telling you right now is the person who gave you this job and who can take it away as well as much more than that, don't.
I won't chase the silver, but at the same time, I will eventually find out what happened.
I have no doubt, but leave it till after the election, understood?
Very well.
Good. Well, see you long before you see me. And he disappears into the crowd.